Welcome to the AP Sports Pod. This is your host, Andrew Pasquinelli, coming at you with my Circa Million V picks. But as usual, we always do our recap first. And as you see there on our screen, week 9 picks, 5-0, up and down the list, all the way across the board, whichever way you want to look at it, 5-0, green check marks, cash money, baby. Let's take a look. Kansas City, Miami. Kansas City jumped out to a 21-point lead. Miami came back, had a chance to tie the game or win the game in the last possession. Bad snap, fumble, sack, whatever you want to call it. Kansas City covered that one relatively easy. As in true Kansas City fashion, probably jumped out to the lead, took their foot off the gas a little bit, and waltzed right into the bye week. And next week, they play the Eagles. Should be a hell of a game. Minnesota at Atlanta. Minnesota's just a pretty good football team. Question marks at quarterback. I said this was a buy low spot. The rookie started, got knocked out. In comes Josh Dobbs. He was on their team for 20 minutes before the game. He just figures out a way to play. He's never really bad. He's been in this situation before. He goes to a team last minute and he's playing meaningful games. It happened last year with Tennessee. It happened right before the season started with Arizona. It happened again midseason here with Minnesota. Just think Minnesota's a good football team. They're better than the Atlanta Falcons. They won the game outright as a 4.5-point dog with question mark at quarterback. That one was a solid analysis pick. Another one that was solid analysis, but with a little warning, a little caveat. Indianapolis Colts -2.5 at Carolina. My position on this game was I don't think Carolina can score. I think the Colts offense is pretty good. I think Steichen's proven to be a pretty good offensive coordinator, or a good offensive coordinator from Philly, now head coach at Indianapolis. They've scored over 20 points every game this season. I'm not sure how many teams can say that. You probably wouldn't expect the Colts to be able to say that. And so the take here was I don't think Carolina can keep up. Even though the Colts defense isn't great, Carolina just doesn't possess the aptitude offensively to score enough points. Now, where does the little warning come in? The Colts scored 27 points, cool, but they had 2 pick sixes. So their offense only generated 13 points. That's off. That's an off week for them. Is this the beginning of a trend or was that an outlier? I don't know. We might talk about the Colts again here in a minute when we're taking our week 9 picks. How about Philly and Dallas? Philly -3. I just thought that was the right side. Dallas seems to just find a way to self-destruct or crumble. I don't think they did in this game. I think they had opportunities. The math just didn't work out. The close call with the tight end on the goal line is much ado about nothing. Philadelphia went 3 and out. Dallas came right back down the field and scored 2 minutes later. So that's dramatics and highlights and all this, eye candy. That play ultimately didn't really matter. In fact, it might have even helped Dallas because Philadelphia was backed up in their own end. Let's say they score a touchdown there. Philadelphia gets the ball at the 25 or in decent field position. They might march down the field, take more time off the clock, and suffocate the game. So I liked Philly in that game. Dallas played better than I expected. Something to consider for their rematch down the road here. And then Cincinnati, Buffalo. I thought this was taking candy from a baby. Cincinnati just owns Buffalo. I don't think Buffalo will ever beat Cincinnati. Cincinnati is playing well. It just is what it is. What are you going to do? I don't have to say much about that. I hesitated there because I'm like, wait a second. Didn't Cincinnati play the 49ers last week? No, but that was going back 2 weeks ago. So Cincinnati, well-oiled machine. Buffalo, kind of up and down. Still waiting for that Buffalo moment where they've had enough and they throttle down and they kick somebody's ass. I don't think it's coming. I think it's not that team this year. All right, so pat on the back, 5-0. We ended the prior week. We were 4-1, so ended that little mini contest streak on a nice 9-1 heater. Got to keep that going, as I figure you can pretty much only lose one game a week to be in contention for the money on each of the mini in-season contests. So here we go. Week 10 starts a new one. If we go 5-0, 5-0, 5-0, probably come up on some money. Let's take a look. We're back on the Colts. Okay, this time it's -2 versus New England. Some places it's -1.5, -1. I'm going to take -2 in Circa anyway. And my analysis on this game is it's not much different from last week. I like the Colts offense against a team that can't probably keep up with their scoring. Okay, I mentioned the Colts have scored 20 points in every game this year. The Patriots have scored 20 points in only 2 games this year. So I just think if both teams play how they've basically been playing, the Colts are going to be somewhere in the mid-20s, 24, 27. The Patriots are going to be 14, 17. And that's just how it's going to end up. My take, when I mentioned the 2 pick sixes earlier, a couple minutes ago, my interpretation is this. It's not the start of a trend. That was an outlier, bad performance by the Colts offense. They're going to rebound. They're going to play better. They're going to outscore the Patriots, plain and simple. Back on the Vikings. Vikings versus the Saints. Broken record here. The Vikings are a pretty good team, regardless of who's playing quarterback. The Saints, I haven't been impressed with the Saints. When I was on the Saints recently and won, and so they just don't look very good. When I'm watching the Saints play, it just looks bad. It looks like Carr's locked in on receivers. He throws it to them whether they're open or not. I just don't see that as a good formula for sustained success. Now, they're going on the road to Minnesota, a team that they've at least in recent history, they've struggled with, and they're pretty good. I think Dobbs is solid. I think Dobbs moves around a little bit, which presents a different challenge. It's a little bit extra dynamic layer to the offense that's hard to handle. I think they've shown an ability to come back the last 2 seasons, even if they get down. So I like Minnesota here. I like Minnesota at home. I like Minnesota getting points. I'm not sure they're the worst of the 2 teams. And so if I'm in that mode, and that's the way I think, I'm going to take points probably every single time, especially if they're playing at home. I like Minnesota. Pittsburgh versus Green Bay. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie to the world and say that Pittsburgh is a world beater, that they're going to score a lot of points, that their offense is just a sleeping giant. It's not. Maybe they had a little bit of progress bringing their offensive coordinator down onto the field. Maybe they played a little bit better. They beat Tennessee at home. Tennessee's a solid team, a competitive team. They're getting a little bit more rest. And I've kind of been on a little bit of a Pittsburgh streak here. So they beat Baltimore about a month ago. Then they had a bye. I picked Pittsburgh at the Rams. They win. Okay. I picked Jacksonville at Pittsburgh the very next week. Jacksonville wins. And so I kind of feel like I'm in a pretty good rhythm and a pretty good sync with the Steelers. And so I think they're playing pretty well. I think they are ascending right now. Okay, I think they're a better team right now than they were a month ago. I think their offense is a little bit better. I think their defense is still very solid. And the fact of the matter is, Green Bay just isn't very good. That's as far as I need to go with Green Bay. They just aren't very good. I'm giving them no credit, 0 credit for beating a Rams team with a fringe NFL quarterback 20-3. That doesn't impress me. Cue up the Shania Twain. That doesn't impress me much. So I think Green Bay is going to go into Pittsburgh. Neither team is awesome, but I just think Pittsburgh, with more rest, with more preparation, on the ascent, is going to take care of business by more than a field goal. In some places, this is 3.5. So for Circa Million, not having to give up the hook there, I'll take Pittsburgh -3. Detroit and the Chargers. This is an absolutely buy low spot for Detroit. The last 2 weeks, the Chargers have beaten the Bears and the Jets, who provide absolutely 0 offensive challenges to the Los Angeles Chargers. Enter the Detroit Lions, who present a ton of offensive challenges to any defense that they come up with. Yeah, they got smashed by Baltimore in recent memory, but the past is the past. What we got to talk about here is I looked at the schedule over the summer, what did I see? I see the Chargers going back and forth between home and road. This week, they've got a short week, Monday Night Football in New York, come all the way back across the country, back home, where they have no home field advantage at all. And they're going to play Detroit coming off a bye. This is an apex spot for Detroit to just come in and hammer down on a team that I do believe is inferior to the Detroit Lions. I think the Detroit Lions are for real, but for me to put the seal of approval and the stamp on them, off a bye week, you come in, you take an early lead, you go up 14-0, 17-3, 21-7 at halftime, and you ride this thing out in the second half against the team. Now, both of these teams are high variable on fourth down. They're going to do some wonky stuff on fourth down, and it might just be that fourth down conversions are the difference in this game. I don't know. We'll see. I don't think it's going to be that close. And if I'm going Campbell versus Staley, I will take the grit over the analytic intelligence of Coach Staley. Give me the Lions all day long in this one. I absolutely love the Lions in this spot. Last but not least, Denver Broncos at Buffalo. Kind of like Pittsburgh, but maybe even more so. I think Denver's on the ascent. So they had 2 wins in a row, 2 covers in a row, heading into their bye week. And Buffalo's just kind of, I just feel like Buffalo's staggering. If they're in a heavyweight fight, they're just kind of stammering. You know, they're not quite at a standing 8 count, but they're just wobbly. I think they win the game. I think Buffalo wins this game. This is a home game, Monday Night Football. I think they win, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think this is going to be a nip and tuck because Denver's on the ascent. So if you look at that, you got a team rising, rested, good. I still believe in Sean Payton, right? So maybe it just took a little while for them to, maybe it did and maybe it didn't take a little while for them to catch on to Sean Payton. Because I do have to say this. The first 2 weeks of the season, which I had chalked up as W's for Denver, they played the Raiders and the Commanders. They lost both games at home by a combined 3 points. If they win those games, we think totally different about Denver, right? They would be 5-3. I mean, both of these teams, I think it would be 5-3 or 5-3 and 5-4. We think totally different. So I think Denver's better than their record. I think Denver's playing better right now. I think they have a bye. I think they're rested. I think they're able to prepare versus a wobbly, stammering, staggering Buffalo team. Again, we're waiting. I'm waiting for them to throttle down on somebody. I don't think it's this week. Maybe it's next week in a revenge game against the Jets from the opening Monday Night Football game. I don't know. So that's what we're going with. I like all the picks. Similar to last week, give me the Colts against an inferior offense. Give me the Vikings in a buy low spot. Again, they're better than people think. Give me the Steelers, a team that maybe is playing a little bit better against a team that I give no respect for at all in Green Bay. Great spot for Detroit. Short week for the Chargers, traveling all the way back across from the East Coast. Detroit's rested, waiting, and salivating. That's a hungry lion right there. And then give me the Denver Broncos off a bye week, playing pretty well. Monday Night Football. I think Buffalo will win, but Denver covers. And there you have it. Let's go back-to-back 5-0 weeks. I'd love to go 4-1, 5-0, 5-0. It's too bad those wouldn't be the 3 weeks of the mini contest, but we'll see how it goes. Weeks 10, 11, and 12. Let's see what we can do. Somebody from Winner Circle Proxy won the last mini contest and cashed in $150K. So let's go back to back with Winner Circle. Sweet. Thanks for watching. Bye.